What's up, guys? So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I went from 20% body fat to 10% body fat in 12 weeks. On the picture on the left is me 12 weeks ago. Not looking thrilled at all of what my physique looked like. Muscle definition was not there. Abs were not there. Confidence was super low. And the picture on the right was me today at the gym looking absolutely shredded, loving the way that I look, loving the way that I feel, and finally being confident again in myself. So I want to show you how I did it over the course of the past 12 weeks. And I want to hopefully motivate you guys to make the same kind of transformation, show you how I did it so you can do the same. So here's me 12 weeks ago. Obviously, I have built muscle. I've been going to the gym for the past 8 years consistently, but this is the worst that I've looked over the past 3 years because I was doing some things that I wasn't typically doing, right? I was very inconsistent over the past 3-4 months, right? I was so used to going to the gym 5 to 6 times per week, but I got very lazy and a very bad mindset where I was kind of going 3 to 4 times per week. No consistency at all. I was always looking for excuses to skip the gym if my friends were doing stuff, if my family was doing stuff, if there was a show on I wanted to watch, if there was a girl I was texting that wanted to hang out, I would go. Like, there were so many excuses I was using and to skip the gym, and I wasn't being consistent with going. I was also super lazy when it came to tracking calories and macros. Beforehand, I was super good. I was tracking every single day for the most part, making sure I was hitting my calories and macros, eating primarily whole foods throughout my entire diet. But now I was I was hardly ever tracking. I was making sure I was getting my protein, but that was about it. And there was way too many cheat meals. I was going out and eating fast food or, healthier fast food. Very consistently, eating a bunch of processed stuff, not really caring because I thought, oh, as long as I get my protein in, I'm going to be fine. But all this led to me getting this physique where my abs were starting to fade away. My muscle definition was going away. There was barely any vascularity, and my confidence started to really go down. So why did I change? I started feeling sluggish. As you can see in this photo, this is the day before I started my cut. Looked extremely sluggish. I just didn't want to get out of bed, very lazy, very unmotivated. My workouts were super unproductive. I would go into the gym and I just had no want to be there, right? I was not getting stronger. I would look at myself in the mirror and I would not like the way that I looked. So it really I was very unmotivated, right? When you see yourself in the mirror and you're looking really good, you're stronger, you're getting, your lifts are going up. You see that vascularity, you see the muscle definition, you see your abs in the mirror. All those things are really motivating, and it keeps you wanting to keep going back and keep pushing harder. But when you don't see that stuff and you know that you used to look better, that really is unmotivating. So I didn't even want to really go to the gym, and I wasn't proud of what I saw in the mirror. As you can clearly see in this photo, I did not look proud of myself at all, and I needed to change. I know I needed to change. So I took action, and I did a few things that really allowed me to take action the right way. So beforehand, I was doing a training plan that I was doing for a very long time, and it got very boring and monotonous because I was doing the same thing over and over again. I was getting really bored with the exercises and the routine I was going through. So I started a new training plan. It was a push-pull-leg split, but I switched up some of the exercises that I was typically doing and making sure I was doing new ones to keep it fresh and doing exercises that I actually would enjoy doing. Next, and probably the most important thing, was I ate in a calorie deficit of 750 calories, around 750 calories. This would allow me to lose about 1.5 pounds per week. Now, I usually recommend eating about a 500 calorie deficit, which would put you about losing about 1 pound per week. But I knew that my deficit of 750 would allow me to lose faster, and that way I wouldn't have to be in or doing my cut for much longer than 12 weeks. I knew it was going to be a little bit more difficult because the bigger your deficit, the less food you can eat, which is going to make it harder, but I knew I could do it over the course of 12 weeks if I listed out my macros the right way. So I listed out my macros as 40-30-30. Now what that means is 40% of my calories came to protein, 30% of my calories to carbs, and 30% of my calories to fat. Now, why did I do it this way? 40% to protein, for a few different reasons. Protein is absolutely essential, no matter if you're cutting, maintaining, or bulking. But when you're cutting, you really, really want to make sure that you're getting enough protein because, one, it's the most satiating macronutrient. So you're going to stay full a lot more if you have more protein, right? Secondly, you want to make sure you're getting enough protein in each day, typically around 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, but you want to make sure that you're getting enough in so that you can maintain or even build some muscle as you're losing weight, right? The whole point of losing weight and trying to get into better shape is to look better at the end of the day. And if you're losing weight, but you're not getting enough protein in, you run the risk of losing some muscle. And if you lose muscle and you're losing weight at the same time, once you get down to that weight you want to get to, you're going to just look like a smaller version of your current self, because if you're losing muscle, you're not going to look better at the end of the day. So you need to make sure you're maintaining and even potentially building some muscle as you're losing weight. 30% of my calories came to fats. Now, this is really important because, and I learned this from personal experiences, if you cut your fats out of your diet, you're going to run into a lot of problems with your hormones. The whole point of your fats, they're going to make you feel good and you're going to regulate your hormones. And if you don't get enough of them when you are cutting, you are going to run the risk of low testosterone, low sex drive, feeling hungry 24/7, never feeling full, feeling stressed out all the time, and you're just going to feel like shit. And that is the last thing that you want to do when you are in a calorie deficit, right? You want to be able to get in better shape, but it not be unsustainable. So making sure you get enough fats in every single day was absolutely crucial for me. So 30% was a good portion for me. And then the rest of the calories, 30% would come to carbs. I would prioritize eating my carbs before and after my lift. You want to make sure you're eating carbs before your lift so that you get that as much energy as possible for your lift. And then you want to get some afterwards, because once you use up all that energy in that workout, you want to refuel your glycogen stores with more carbohydrates. So next thing I did was I listed out all of my weekly meals. So I was pretty consistent with the meals that I was eating each and every day. And the reason for this is this would take a lot of the guesswork out of it, right? Instead of making my meals every single day and switching it up all the time, I was very consistent with what I was eating. So there was no guesswork. I was eating the same amounts every single day, and I would cook in bulk. That way I could just throw it in the microwave, heat it up, and then I would just be able to eat it whenever I was hungry. So it saved me a lot of time, saved me a lot of stress, and took a lot of the guesswork out of it. Next, I did 10,000 steps per day. Now, this made a really, really big difference. And beforehand, I was doing about 3,000 to 4,000 steps per day, if I had to guess, because I was not doing any cardio. I was not going out of my way to get some extra steps in. I was kind of just laying around all the time. I would sit down most of the day doing work. And since I wasn't doing any extra cardio or any extra steps or any extra walks or anything like that, I was probably averaging about 3,000 to 4,000 steps per day. Very, very sedentary. So I made sure to go out of my way to walk more, take the longer route to wherever I was walking to, parking farther away from the door whenever I was parking at, the store or the gym or anything like that. And I also did cardio on top of that, which would help with the steps, but it was a little bit more intense than just regular walking. I started off by doing about 30 minutes per day, worked my way up to 40 halfway through my cut. And getting those steps in really, really does help, because since I was only getting about 3,000 to 4,000 beforehand, increasing to, adding an extra 6,000 to 7,000 steps per day really helped me burn probably an extra 300 calories per day, which really, really helped with burning fat. So making progress. What did I do to really ensure that I was going to be making progress each and every week? Because that plan is really, really good. But what things did I do, in specifics to make sure I was making the most amount of progress? So the first thing I would do in the morning is I would weigh myself. I'd wake up, go to the bathroom, and weigh myself. I weighed myself fasted and in my underwear every single day. Consistency with the time and consistency with me being fasted is absolutely crucial. And I weigh myself every single day because I wanted to make sure, although my weight was going to fluctuate from day to day, it happens with every single person. Some days you're a little bit heavier, some days you're a little bit lighter, but making sure that I was seeing a gradual decrease in my weight every single week ensuring that I'm making progress, right? Because if you're not weighing yourself on a consistent basis, you have no idea if you're actually trending in the right direction. So I made sure to weigh myself every single day. I was also tracking my calories every single day. Obviously, like I said before, I was really locked in with my macros, making sure I was hitting my calories the same amount every single day, right? Every single day. There was no days that I was going and if you're not tracking your calories every single day, and one day you're eating 2,300, the next day you're eating 22, the next day you're eating 19, the next day you're eating 25. If you're all over the place like that, you're not going to see great progress. You're probably not going to see much progress at all. But if you're consistent with eating the same amounts every single day, then you're going to see amazing progress. I kept my meals consistent. Like I said before, keeping my meals consistent really helped because it took a lot of that guesswork out of it. Instead of me switching my meals up every single day and being like, okay, this is 400 calorie meal, this is a 500 calorie meal. I need to make sure I'm fitting this in somewhere. There was no guesswork. It was the day before, I'd be like, okay, these are my meals. Same meals I'm going to eat tomorrow. Same meals I'm going to eat the next day. Maybe I'll switch out chicken with turkey breast today. And it just took the whole guesswork out of it and made things so much easier in the long term. I was also tracking my workouts daily. Like I said before, 12 weeks ago, I was not tracking my lifts that much. This way, I was new training plan. I was lifting. I was putting on all my workouts into my app that I use, and I was inputting each exercise, making sure that my reps or the weight was increasing as much as possible. At a certain point, I kind of plateaued with the strength just because I was calorie deficient. I wasn't eating enough food, but I made sure to try to keep my strength as much as possible, training super hard, making sure I was at least hitting the reps that I did the prior week. That way I was maintaining my muscle mass. And lastly, and a super underrated one, was going to bed at the same time. What you have to understand about fat loss, maintaining muscle, building muscle, sleep is absolutely crucial. And if you're not getting enough sleep, you run the risk of burning, you're not building muscle, not maintaining muscle, and then not burning as much fat, right? And what you have to understand is when you go to the gym and you're eating in a calorie deficit and you're doing all these things, right? You're not building muscle when you're in the gym. You're not burning fat when you're in the gym. That happens when you're recovering, right? Your body needs time to actually recover so that you can heal that muscle that you broke down during that workout, and so that it can rebuild and build more so that you can get stronger, right? Your muscle was built when you were sleeping and when you're recovering, and you actually burn the most amount of fat while you're sleeping. So don't underestimate sleep. Try to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. You'll feel tremendously better, and you're going to see a lot more progress. So during this entire time, in the beginning, this wasn't really the case, but as time went on, I dealt with a lot of days where I had very, very low motivation. There were a lot of days where I did not want to get up and go to the gym because I was very low energy. It was getting more and more difficult as I was getting leaner. So how did I deal with these low motivation days? First thing I had to understand was it is very normal to feel these things. Motivation comes and goes all of the time. There were days when I felt very, very motivated to go. There were days when I felt like the last thing I wanted to do was eat my healthy meals, go to the gym, do my cardio, right? I dreaded cardio almost every single day. The motivation was not there at all. But what I had to do was remember why I started in the first place. I had to remind myself of those pictures. I had to keep showing myself those pictures, remembering how I felt, not seeing my abs, not seeing the muscles, not seeing the vascularity, not being confident in myself, being super lazy, super low mindset, super low energy, super bad mindset, lazy mindset. I had to remind myself of what I was feeling so that I could continue to keep pushing because I didn't want to go back to that same place before. And what you have to what you have to be honest with yourself about is this goal something that means something to you? Because it has to mean something to you. It must mean something big to you if you're going to continue and see great progress like this, right? If it's just a goal that, you would like to get leaner, you'd like to get in better shape, but it's not that big of a deal to you, then you're going to be a lot more likely to give into this low motivation and give up and go back to how you were before. But if it's a really big goal for you, you're going to do whatever it takes to actually push through those low motivation days and get to that end goal, right? And what you will eventually build by doing this is discipline. And once you have discipline, you no longer rely on motivation, right? A lot of people rely on motivation. If they don't have motivation, they don't do the things that they need to do. But when you start to do the things that you need to do, regardless of how you feel, regardless of your emotions, that's discipline. And discipline's the only way that you can truly go from a 20% body fat physique to having 10% body fat in 12 weeks. That's the only way. If you do not have discipline, you are not going to make it. You have to stop relying on motivation because it comes and goes. You have to start building discipline and doing the things that you need to do regardless of how you feel. And that's essentially what I did, going from 20% body fat to 10% body fat in 12 weeks. By no means is it easy, but it's extremely simple. There was extremely simple things that I did over these past 12 weeks that got me there, right? Training hard, training consistently, tracking my calories and macros, staying consistent with all of that, building discipline, not relying on motivation, and that got me to that end goal. Now, if you're someone who wants to see similar results in the next 12 weeks, I want you to click the first link in the description. We can hop on a call, talk about your biggest goal, talk about your struggles, and I can point you in the right direction and see if you're a good fit for my one-on-one coaching program. I don't take everyone. I only take people who are absolutely serious. So do not click that link and do not fill out that form unless you are actually serious. But if you guys did find this video informative, drop me a like, hit that subscribe button. I post videos like this every single week, 2 videos every single week. And if you want to see more of them, hit that subscribe button. So other than that, guys, I'll see you guys in the next one.